my most favorite books in the whole world is The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People. I could go on for hours about each habit, but the one I want to focus on today is habit number 3, putting first things first. Sometimes it feels like there's just never enough time in the day to get it all done. Do you struggle to get things done? Maybe because everything is important? If everything is important or a priority, then nothing is. And it also means that we're not really clear on what our priorities should be. Hello and welcome to Together Forward's YouTube channel. I'm Annette Blankenship. Today I want to share with you a tool that I've used throughout my career. It's one of my very favorite to make sure that we're putting first things first in our life and in our business. What are priorities? Priorities are the things that give life meaning and purpose because goals are important. You want to focus and stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Priorities keep you motivated to progress towards your goals. And in order to make the best use of your time, you first have to figure out what's the vision for my life or my company, and what are my core values around that, and then reverse engineer how to get there. We refer to this as your strategy or your roadmap, and it helps us to get very clear on where we should be spending our time based on our purpose and our goals. And once you have these things in place, determining your priorities is relatively easy. Without clear priorities, it just makes it difficult to manage your time and make progress in your goals. There are so many things that we could do, we should do, and we want to do, but priorities help us to choose what to focus on first. So, how do you decide what goes first and keep those shiny objects out of the way? Or what about those periods of indecision? Without clear priorities, we tend to say yes to just the wrong things, leaving us with no time to say yes to the things we really want in our life. And this cycle can lead to frustration and burnout because you just can't seem to get where it is that you want to go. So we have to flip that around and we have to fill our days with the yes things first, the relationships we want, the goals we're trying to achieve, and then we can make progress towards those things that we really want in our life. But it's a matter of scheduling those important activities first. Scheduling time with family or self-care or just those big projects or any other important event in your life. These are your big rocks. And getting them on your calendar will actually help you to make sure that you are focusing on them daily. When we fail to manage the events in our life, the events tend to control us. Just because we're busy, just because we're busy doesn't mean we're productive. So we have to be intentional. And some people feel like planning just limits them, or putting out fires just takes precedence, or there just isn't enough time to plan. But if you could take just a little bit of time out of your day to take control over the rest, to just set your intention, you will be amazed at the progress that you can make. Prioritization is identifying the appropriate order of events. It creates alignment with your vision and the big stuff that you want to get done. The big stuff is what's going to propel you forward into the future. And putting first things first and planning it out, that's what that part of it is, the effective part. And as a leader. But on the other side of this is having the discipline to carry it out. And this means working first, playing later. Actually working your plan and saying no to those things that are less important. We set priorities, we make a schedule, and we stick to the plan. This is the discipline that's required and the organization that highly effective people do. Highly effective people make decisions with a clear sense of what's most important, and then they have the discipline to carry it out. They're driven by purpose, not by other people's agendas or other forces around them. And so once you set your vision and then your goals, we need to take a look at your to-do list. And then let's run through this matrix that Steve Covey refers to in his Timeless book. And so here is the matrix that is in Steve Covey's book. And you see we have 4 different quadrants. And what we want to do is we want to take each one of your task lists and we want to run it through this matrix, and we want to figure out where each one of them fits. And in order for you to be the most effective. So quadrant number 1 is the urgent. Quadrant number 2 is effective. Quadrant number 3 is distraction, and quadrant number 4 is waste. And we want to label each one of your to-do lists with one of these and figure out what to do with it. And so let's start with the urgent. So crisis. we all have crisis, and what I've learned is a lot of times a crisis was a failure to plan, either a failure to mitigate a risk appropriately or failure to just figure out what was going on. Now, we don't always know what's going to happen, and so we can't plan out for everything. We can't put a contingency plan for everything, but a lot of times when crises occur, there are steps that we could have taken to make things better. So I would recommend you do a root analysis on these so this quadrant becomes less and less and less. And like I said, you can't get rid of them all the time, but there are things that you can put in place to mitigate a lot of this. So crisis is probably going to make the top of the list here. But some emails you just have to respond to. You can't predict when you're going to get a customer from an email from a customer, and you need to be able to respond to those in order to continue your customer satisfaction. You might have a sick child. You can't control that. That just is going to happen periodically. So you have to make sure you tend to those things. Pressing problems, angry customers, got to take care of those folks. And then the strategy around this particular quadrant, if your tasks list falls in here, is to manage and do. And so when I say manage, what I mean is we manage these things by getting to root cause when we think that there might be something else going on where we could have better planned, either ourselves or our team. We just being able to hold them accountable to trying to stay out of this quadrant, because this quadrant just comes in and impacts your day, and anything that you had planned might get pushed out, and we don't want that. So quadrant number 2 is the effective quadrant. This is where we do proactive work. It's where we set our goals. We do strategic planning. We do a lot of creative thinking. We have professional development, exercise, recreation, rest. Those things we need to schedule in our day on purpose and make sure that we get those things done. This is what's going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And then being able to focus on those specific things and being able to put them on your calendar. And so quadrant number 3 is all around distraction and other people's issues. A lot of times they bring us their issues and then we don't hold them accountable, so we take it on ourselves, and that impacts our day. But really being able to put it back on them, maybe giving them some advice or maybe asking them a series of questions to better coach them versus taking ownership of it is really where we want to be. So figuring out how can we minimize this, how can we help them, but how can we also build their skill sets so that they can do things too, and think bigger and more critically. So shiny new objects, I'm very familiar with this one. I do this a lot. There's things that I learn about, and all of them I'm ready to put them in immediately. And I forget things like people have to build up skill sets and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to manage myself by letting a member of my team either do research on the new shiny objects to figure out what skill sets we need, what's the purpose of it, what are the things that I don't know, so that I don't go down a rabbit trail. And before I do that, I need to think about how is it going to impact the things that I've already got going on. Do I have room? Is this something I really need to be spending my time on? So I really need to think about those things as well. And then irrelevant meetings. This again goes back to who set the meeting up. And then level setting on expectations. I expect an agenda. I expect you to be clear. I expect to know like what it is going in at least 24 hours before. And then when you get that, it also gives you the opportunity to look at that agenda and see, do I really understand what it is that we're trying to do? Is this person really able to figure out what it is that we're trying to accomplish? Is it clear? And if it's not clear, then you can either decide not to go, or you can delegate it to someone else. Or you can, tell them, get more clear, and then I'll join you. So I've had that happen a few times early on in my career. Thankfully, it doesn't happen too much anymore. Low value tasks. These are just things that, you as the business owner or the leader don't need to be doing. These are things that you would better be off delegating to your team. Not only could they probably get it done faster and better, but you want to stay focused on the things that are going to make a difference in your organization. So if you're over here doing this, what are you not getting done there? What are you saying yes to here that you're saying no to there? So being able to think about it that way, because every moment that you spend on a low value task is going to impact your higher value tasks. Okay, so the strategy here is you want to delegate these. You want to teach your team member to take them over, or a team member, or another leader, or somebody else on your team, or you just want to push back like we talked about in the irrelevant meetings. Just, I'm not coming until you get clear on what it is that we're doing. And so then quadrant number 4 is all around waste and trivial work. Things like, filing or, being able to just, an example in my life is I'll write some stuff up and I'll be brainstorming, and then I feel like I need to rewrite it to be clearer, just to see it on a page like all mapped out. But that was a low value task. And so I stopped doing that. And now whatever notes I make on the whiteboard, I just print them out. I just take a picture with my camera and then I just send them to the printer. And that has saved me so much time. I just can't tell you. So, think about on these trivial tasks, what are you really trying to accomplish, and is there a better way? Excessive relaxation. I am the world's worst when it comes to this sometimes when I'm really extra tired, but I really think that sometimes you just have to take time to relax. But if you're excessively doing it is when you're constantly scrolling on your phone, when you're constantly binge watching series on TV or movies or whatever. There's time and place for that, but when you're excessively doing it, or you're just laying around, or you just don't feel like getting your tasks done and you're putting them off, that's going to just be a time stealer, and it's not going to get you where you want to go. Another one is gossip and negative talk. And so really being able to just squash that altogether, it's not helpful for anyone. Or filing old documents. I have a client that I used to work with, and she would, file these documents, and it was just paper. Like her whole office was just paper driven. And so we put some things in place to make it more automated, so that she, instead of filing these things, that she was actually putting them in a folder, taking pictures of them like we said before, instead of just, constantly trying to file them, and doing it right then so that it doesn't pile up. So just, don't let it stack up, do it and just eliminate this. Just don't do it, avoid it. Figure out ways to make it more efficient, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then let's get back over here into this effective quadrant. So what this means is every week you'll want to review your vision and goals. You'll want to schedule out those big rocks in your calendar, and you'll want to delegate or delete the rest of it. Well, I hope this gives you some tools to look at on your own to-do list and to get closer to where you want to be. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that like button. Every like helps us to reach new people. And if you want to see new videos on leadership, strategy, and project management to help you with your business or career every week, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Also, please let us know what your top leadership, strategy, and project management challenges are, so that we can make some new videos in the future with your feedback. Thank you for watching. I'm Annette Blankenship, and I'll see you in the next video.